10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Drag racing fans, the Power Hour is live once again. Big Power Hour tonight. We are looking forward to the biggest, richest drag race in the world, the U.S. Nationals, just outside of Indianapolis, Indiana, there in Brownsburg, Indiana. And also for myself, Lee Craft, the Monday Morning Racer, won't be able to attend the U.S. Nationals this year. Rather, I'll be at the Funny Car Chaos Championship Finals, which happens also on Labor Day weekend at Mocan Dragway. They've been having a Labor Day celebration for decades. I believe this is the 62nd, 63rd year. So many mile markers are being reached in the sport of drag racing, and that is certainly a beautiful thing. My co-host, Dujanay Bland's having some technical difficulties. Hopefully we get him on very soon. Definitely want to get his perspective on the U.S. Nationals. I'll give a preview looking towards the Funny Car Chaos Championship Finals. I was able to attend the World Series of Drag Racing last weekend at Cordova Dragway. We'll take some time to talk about that. What a great drag racing show that was, and is an event that you need to mark off your list in a beautiful area of the country and at a great drag racing facility that, probably 4 years ago had a lot of life breathed back into it, and the ownership that is there now is continuing to do that and move it forward. So plenty to talk about here on Power Hour tonight. Two great guests, both NHRA funny car drivers, Burning Nitro Chris King, and also the relief driver that everyone is talking about, Jack Beckman. We're going to have both of those NHRA funny car drivers on. They're actually more connected than you might think. If you have watched any of the installments of the Power Hour where we've had Chris King, you'll know some of that connection, but Chris is going to dive into that even further. Looking forward to talking to Chris King and Fast Jack Beckman right here on the Power Hour this evening. I'm going to go to the comment section really quick. We'll see if we can get Dujanay in here and have him on. Definitely want to have his participation here on the Power Hour tonight and get his thoughts on the world of drag racing mayhem. Thank you for watching, Doug Core. Thank you for watching. Dive in the comment section, folks. Hit the like button, hit the share button. The Power Hour is live, and so is Dujanay Bland. We got you in, man.
Yeah, I don't know what happened here. Everything internet-wise died, so I had to reboot everything. But we back, baby.
It happens, man. Look, doing the live thing and being on the road. I mean, right now I am at a Buffalo Wild Wings in Lafayette, and doing it. And
you're well as well doing it again.
Hey, I've just got accustomed to everybody, munching on their wings, giving me a weird look because I got a light and a camera and a laptop, and they're like, "What is going on right now?" I'm surprised I don't have people coming up and asking me, "So what free stuff you giving away? You doing a mobile? What's going on? What's live? Where can I, what
right.
contest?" I'm surprised I don't get that by now. We got a lot to talk about. Looking forward to getting your thoughts on the U.S. Nationals. I'll give my thoughts concerning the Funny Car Chaos Finals, Cordova, the World Series of Drag Racing was there this past weekend for a very important reason. Also concerning funny cars, it's like a funny car night, basically, with Chris King, Jack Beckman, Funny Car Chaos, and then also talking about the PADR, not PDRA, PADR, more acronym soup out there in the world of drag racing.
Sure.
So, Andrew, I will very quickly take your question. What happened to the funny car that blew up on the burnout? That's referring to the World Series of Drag Racing. John Lawson and his Runaway. It blew right at the hit of the throttle. I have not seen an update yet. I saw some photos on his Facebook, but I didn't see quite an update. They just said, hey, it's all kind of mangled, and it was hard to tear down, but not sure. Not sure. And Memphis, I'm sorry, no to-go orders, no to-go. But we are going to go to our first guest right here on the Competition Plus Power Hour, presented by Weldon High Performance. I wonder if you can get a Weldon High Performance pump through competition products.
Sure, you can.
Well, Chris,
you can.
U.S. Nationals, huh?
First one as a pro, man. I can't tell you how excited I am to even have my name on the registration list, Dujane. This is a big deal for me. I grew up going to this race as a crew guy with an alcohol funny car. We won the race in 2015 with an alcohol funny car with Andy Bull driving. And to come full circle now with me driving and in the pros and running, I got goosebumps right now thinking about it, man. It's so exciting and so much hype. And our car is running really well. I can't wait to get down there tomorrow.
Man, that's spectacular. And tomorrow's Wednesday, already being at the drag strip, getting ready to fire the nitro breathing monster up and to qualify for very historic U.S. Nationals. They're all historic. This one, just a bit more so with it being an anniversary date. Chris, summarize for us your year so far. There's been a couple more events than I think typical. I think you have some more planned, but where's the program right now? We know that you came into this year and retooled, redefined the program and yourself. Where is it?
So we basically started from scratch over the winter, rebuilding the whole car, brought in new crew chief Bob Peck from DSR and a new group of guys as my team. And we relocated down to Brownsburg, which was a great move because all the resources and availability. We're renting shop space in Johnny Lindbergh, and Johnny's been great helping us out, getting this car straightened out. So we basically took the car down to bare chassis and rebuilt it from that. Tool blacked it, went through all the wiring, all the plumbing, everything freshened up, redone, fixed problems that we found, and built a new motor program, improving our head program and upgrading to DSR heads and just making everything right and safe, which is important for these cars. A lot of people say that the races are won in the shop, and that's very, very true. If you look at our performance from where we were to what we are running now at Norwalk, where we ran career best numbers again with me lifting at 660 feet. So we are excited, we're motivated, we're optimistic, and we have a car that can run with the best of them. We're not going to be number one qualifier, but we're going to be there, hopefully qualified in top 16. And whoever we run first round is going to have to show up and make it down the track, or we're going to beat them. And our plan is to turn on some win lights this weekend and show people what this little team that really has no budget and limited parts can do.
You gotta feel good at making that progress up to this point, and really has to give you guys at least a level of confidence that you guys can go out there. You've got plenty of passes you can make the show. So it's definitely going to be something that I think you guys will be able to come in and feel confident that you can produce. What is it, like 5 passes now?
5 qualifiers, yeah. So it's cool. I mean, we have a game plan already. We're going to go out and off the trailer, we're going to replicate our E1 tune-up from Norwalk. We're going to go out there and shoot for a 410 right off the trailer. And then if we can replicate that in heat, we're going to have our race state set up pretty much figured out. And then from there out, we're going to use the rest of the qualifiers just to chip away at it, throw some clutch on it, throw some fuel at it, and see if we get this car down to the low 4s or even high 399s. Which, if that happens, man, that puts me in an elite club of people that run 3s, and there's no reason why this car can't do it. I got the talent of my crew behind me, and I think my driving's coming around. I had great lights in Norwalk. If you looked at the average, I think in the qualifying rounds, I had the best lights out of everybody in qualifying. And then, if I do my job and the car does its job, there's no reason why we shouldn't be there on Monday racing the Big O.
All right, I've got to find a picture. I was working on that, but let's talk about, as Memphis Lonnie brings up, your fire suit. Like, you have the best themed, connected, all-around fire suit of anybody, I think, right now in motorsports. Honestly, it fits in every way.
Yeah.
Thanks. I appreciate it. It's pretty cool. When we decided to do the partnership with Fire Department Coffee, I felt it was only fitting to make my fire suit look like turnout gear. So we talked to Eric over at Impact and said, what can you do to make this thing look pretty cool? And we came up with some concepts and found the colors and striping that we wanted. And next thing you know, he replicated my turnout gear for firefighting into my driver's suit, complete down to the safety stripes and the last name on the rear end, just like we do at work. So it's really cool. It turned out really well, and we're proud of it. And it just shows, the firefighter side of me, along with my drag racing side, which is kind of what my program is all about, is bringing my two worlds together.
You guys,
you can see it right there.
It's pretty awesome.
It's just
cool. You got my best side there, the rear, right?
right.
Yeah, the front's pretty cool too, though. I don't know if you have a picture of the front, but we'll get you one. If not, I could go through photos, so I don't know how to do any of that stuff while I'm on live TV stuff. But yeah, there's a couple pictures out there. It's pretty cool, and we have that one along with my original Howard's Cams fire suit. And with this weekend being warm and muggy, I'm probably going to be going between both of them, just have a dry, somewhat fresh suit.
Yeah. Guys that are going to be working on the race cars, still same group of guys that are going to be helping you, that have been helping you before?
Yeah, so we have pretty much the same core group of guys. We do have a new member joining us for Indy as the car chief role. We're bringing in Ashley Fay, and she comes from Scott Palmer's organization with a lot of experience and a lot of people skills that we need to kind of take the young guy questions away from Bob and don't distract him from his tuning duties. So Ashley's going to be there to be the car chief and be the buffer between the workers and the crew chief, and hopefully everything runs smooth. But we're excited to bring her on and take the next step to completing our team and just keeping a good core group of people. Back in the day, every race was different people because we didn't have a set crew, but now we're starting to get some stability and some continuous guys that keep showing up. So we're working on that. And if you noticed in Norwalk, we made every qualifier, and that's something we've never done before because the guys are starting to gel and are getting familiar with working on the car and speeding up. So we're looking forward to good turnarounds and making all the qualifiers here in Indy as well.
It's so critical, that gelling that everybody talks about. And you can have some of the best people come together, but if they've never worked together and don't know that dance in the pits, it can be so challenging for any team to be successful. So figuring that out, putting the right people together, that is really the foundation to success. I would say even more than parts. You might not have the best parts, but if you've got the right people and people know each other and work well with each other, there you have a winning combination.
Yeah, it's tough, and we've struggled with it. People are hard. We don't pay as well as the big teams, and then we'll get guys and they learn the craft, and then they end up getting picked up full time by the bigger teams. So we're constantly going through guys, but so far we're pretty fortunate. We've got a core group of guys that love part-time racing, and we're chipping away at it, and they're getting good. And hopefully, if we can find some sponsor money and some more support, we can take our program full time, and these guys will get paid, and then bring in people and swing for the fences like the big guys do.
Is there any plans to go further and maybe race a few more races outside of the U.S. Nationals?
So we're looking at a couple more, Dujane. We originally were going to look at doing St. Louis, but my crew chief's daughter is getting married that weekend. So family first, always. So we're not sure if we're going to be able to make that one. We're trying to talk to a couple people to be fill-in crew chiefs. So it's going to be somebody that Bob would have to trust and can talk with, because he'll be remote tuning over the phone. And we need somebody there just, to make sure everything's working right. So depending on how Indy goes, and, we'll see how everybody gels and how Ashley does. And, we got a couple guys that we're in contact with about possibly filling in as crew chief, but that one's up in the air. And if we don't do St. Louis, we're looking at Dallas or Charlotte. I know Bob really wants to run Charlotte, as we can go down there and put some horsepower down in the low atmospheric conditions. And it's a cool racetrack to go to. So after Indy, we're really going to concentrate on at least 2 more, hopefully. And who knows, I'm being optimistic, but, this little team wins Indy, who knows what'll happen.
Indeed.
You never know. Indy has had some great stories of underdogs winning, strange things happening. So you make the field, you get yourself in, you never know what just might happen on Monday for sure. Well, Chris, it is definitely good to see the continual progression and the continual success of, small steps. Everybody wants round wins. Everybody wants wallies. Everybody wants championships, but that never happens for anyone but by small steps. There was a day and time John Force was considered someone entering the field that he had no chance of winning. And now you wouldn't think that at all. So it always begins by being that individual that no one knows, but you build up to being someone that they are like, wow, that's a car that can make the field, and that's a car that's going to keep us honest. Before long, you're the car making everyone else tremble. So
that's our goal. That's our goal. Make the show, make clean laps, and just be A to B. Get down the track. If everybody knows that our car is going down the track, they're going to be a little bit more hesitant when they race us, because they know we're not a duck anymore. So, they got to bring it. If they don't make a good pass, we're going to beat them, because our car is going A to B and we're running respectable numbers, and it's only going to get better. So, I'm hopefully going to ruin someone's day, and I look forward to it.
Any new sponsors on board for this particular race?
We've got NGK helping us out. They've been helping us out all year. Competition products, Howard's Cams, the standard thing, fire department coffee. I got a little bit of a product help this weekend. Liquid Death gave us a great truckload of product to bring out to the guys to keep them hydrated and freshened up in the pits. So, that it's a really small thing, and we're just preliminary starting to talk to them, but they definitely hooked us up with a lot of products. So Liquid Death will be in our pits. If anybody wants to come and try some, you're welcome to come by. We got some goodies to hand out there. Nothing huge as far as new sponsors, but we're still working every day. Me and my marketing partner, people like Elin Warner and Emily Riker, we're hitting it hard already for next season, trying to get some sponsors lined up, and we've got some good traction for some new people. Meetings already scheduled and some tentative agreements. So hopefully in the silly season, there'll be big announcements of new partners coming on, and improved Chris King Racing program with hopefully a couple more races.
Hey, the addition of Liquid Death and supplying some water consumables, if you will, there is certainly nothing wrong with that. They have an interesting and honestly truly unique brand when it comes to what is out there in water. It's amazing the branding that is in water these days, and they took a twist of being a bit radical, murder to your thirst, and kill your thirst, and horrific type images. And I like the canned water. I like drinking from a can, and be careful, it can be mistaken for beer. It looks like a beer product, but it is good water. I love the flavors and what they have done. And honestly,
Yes.
there it is. There it is.
That was my, this is called Armless Palmer. It's their tea mix with agave, iced tea, and lemonade. This was dinner. But yeah, it definitely some great packaging and some intense things going on there. But it's good stuff, man. It is. It really is.
I need to try that.
Yeah.
Come on
And
over. If you're going to be there,
their
I'll get you some for sure.
I think their theme fits in motorsports. I think it even especially fits in drag racing and like motorcycle racing and that area, those areas of motorsports. And it's good to hear someone finally doing something. I actually emailed them like 4 years ago and like, hey, we need to get y'all connected with the NHRA team. So I'm glad someone's done it.
But you know what's funny about that, Lee, is I was in the same boat. I reached out to them a year ago, 2 years ago back, and just kind of dropped little messages here and there on different platforms. And then one day they reached back. And then we started talking, and it's slowly progressing. So we'll see what we can accomplish in the off season. What's really cool is like the NASCAR race was here in Chicago a couple weeks back over 4th of July, and Liquid Death has got a big activation in NASCAR. They have a hearse that's all branded up that they call the Liquid Death hearse, or I'm not sure what the full name of it is, but they got this big vehicle and they're doing a lot of activation on the ground at NASCAR races. And rumor has it that that's going to be at St. Louis for the NHRA event. So keep your eyes out for that.
I could see potential tow vehicle with something like that.
It'd be pretty cool.
Just saying. Well, Chris, look, we're going to let you help segue to our next guest. We've got Fast Jack Beckman lined up in the green room, and Jack's been no stranger to the drag strip. Matter of fact, the last time that I saw him, he was in your pit helping out, and you've got a connection to Jack beyond just him being in the pit. We've heard the story of his son designing the beautiful scheme that you have for Howard's cams and competition products. So segue to Fast Jack Beckman for us.
What can I say about Jack? Jack has been that driver that I looked up to when I was nobody. And when I got my alcohol license through Frank Hawley's, you know, Jack's involved with Frank Hawley's, and everybody knows Jack's just a great person, fan favorite. And you can talk to the guy because he just loves people. So when I was going to get my nitro license in Charlotte, Jack comes over to my pit, and we were in the alcohol pits. I was still crewing for Andy Bull. He's like, hey, here, you're going to get your license, man. Don't worry about it. If you can drive an alcohol car, you'll drive a nitro car, no problem. But it's so easy, blah, blah, blah. And he just gave me that peace of mind and confidence that I was looking for, because I was scared shitless about getting in that fuel car because I didn't know what to expect. But, you know, Jack talked me through it procedure-wise. Here's what you do. Here's what you're thinking. If it feels bad, you know, he just gave me all of his professional pointers. So from there, me and Jack were friends. And then a couple years go by, I finally start racing professionally, and I have an opportunity to, you know, get a car wrapped with a cool sponsor. And lo and behold, Jack's son, Jason, ends up being the kid that designs my wraps, and just kind of went full circle that we're involved with the Beckman family. So Jason and Jack now are part of my life and team. So they came to the first race that Jason's car was debuting, and that was Joliet in 22. I believe it was 22. So Jason and Jack were in my pits wearing Howard's Cams competition product swag and everything like that. And then this year also, Jason and Jack came to the race, and they were in my pit. And we had a hectic week, and I can't tell you how awesome Jack was to calm me down as a team owner and driver, to make sure my head was straight, and to take the bull by the horns. And just, he saw problems and saw people problems and just went in there, talked to people, calmed them down, put them in the right direction, intervened, and just did what Jack does. He's a problem solver. He's a people person. He loves to talk, and just everybody respects him and loves him. And he was the calming that we needed for that weekend. And, you know, we talk on the phone all the time about life and kids and, you know, problems and things like that. But Jack loves racing. Jack loves people. And then Jack's just awesome. So for him to be back behind the wheel, I couldn't be more happy. unless I was getting that spot. Wink, wink. But man, having Jack around and back in the seat, I hope we get to stage against each other this weekend. It'd be really cool to actually run my bud, and I look forward to seeing him. And Jason's coming too, so it'll be a Beckman King reunion in Indy. I look forward to it, man. Welcome to the show, Jack, and welcome back to NHRA, brother.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S. Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away. Competition Products, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
If you want to take your vehicle's performance to new heights, you got to give it P. Like our original equipment technology, antifreeze, and coolant. Our formulas match the vehicle manufacturer's technology requirements so that we have the perfect match for every vehicle. That's one reason why Peak is among the fastest growing brands of coolant in America. We work harder to earn the trust of people like you every day.
And the man that is driving the Peak Chevrolet Nitro NHRA funny car, Fast Jack Beckman. Jack, it's so good to be talking to you under these circumstances with everything that's going on and you back in the game. Good to have you, man.
Thanks, Lee, DJ. Yeah. Well, the circumstances sucked, but somebody was going to get the phone call to drive that car, and I'm glad it was me. I almost wish that I got to go before Chris and do a lead-in for Chris King, and I think what he said was over the top. I'm a race fan. I enjoyed hanging out in their pits. They made my son and I feel so welcome. And I'm a sportsman racer, and I did it for years and years and years and worked a regular job. And really, Chris is trying to do this in a sportsman type of fashion. In other words, he doesn't have 10 full-time crew guys. Not everybody gets to fly into the races. They don't have a war chest of spare parts. And I have been so blessed to have a 14-year career for Don Schumacher Racing and now get a 8-race fill-in deal for John Force Racing, where you've got the best of the best. But to be around Chris and to see a guy that, he's putting out fires for his regular job and hoping he doesn't catch fire on his weekend job in the drag strip, and watching the tenacity of that guy. I was just telling the folks here at JFR, I said, got a tremendous amount of respect for Chris, but I don't envy him at all. The position he's in to have to do a budget, to go out to the races, to not have enough parts to necessarily make every qualifying run. But I told him a couple of weeks ago, I said, I hope we get to line up next to each other at Indy. I think that would be super cool.
It certainly would be, certainly pulling for Chris.
Yeah, I don't think you could have said it any better.
Does that mean we're done,
right.
DJ?
No.
Stuff.
Jack, you come back out and you had your first race. What did it feel like? And how quickly or not quickly did it take for you to kind of get comfortable and yep, I've done this before? Well,
so DJ, comfortable nitro funny car, they don't really go hand in hand. I don't know if you want the cool guy answer, or you want the honest truth. I am a student of and a employee of Frank Hawley, and I believe in Frank's philosophy on mental conditioning 100%. I had not practiced a run in a nitro funny car in my head for 3.5 years. Now, for 14 years, that's what I did when I got home. If I was mowing the lawn, I was driving a funny car in my head. If I was sitting on the couch watching the races replays, I was driving the funny car. I didn't practice it for 3.5 years because I didn't know if I was going to be back in one. And frankly, it'd be kind of depressing to rehearse something you might not get to do. And then when I got the call and I flew out to Indy and I got test fitted, and Chris Cunningham and Tim Fabrizi and we went over the warm-up procedures, because the warm-up procedures matter. You don't want to screw that up. I did the first one, by the way. And you really don't want to screw up the run procedures. And I asked Chris Cunningham, I said, how far do you want to go on the first run? And this was going to be at Norwalk at the Night Under Fire 2 weeks prior to Brainerd, my debut. Because remember, I had to re-up my license. I did not even have a license at this time. So I asked Chris, how far are we going to go on the first run? He said, how far do you want to go? I said, like the Christmas tree, 60 feet. He goes, no. We'll go 700 feet. I said, oh, okay, we'll go 700 feet. I practiced a lot. and it went pretty well. I'm still not as comfortable as I want to be, but I'm as comfortable as I expected to be. Now, what you do in the car in qualifying, if it goes out there and it shakes, if it goes out there and smokes tires, you step off the throttle. Unless it's the last session and the bump's not very strong and you think you can get in by pedaling it, you're just going to abort the run if things don't go well. I have not yet been faced with that race day condition where it goes out there and I need to do something other than hold the throttle down. And there's no real way to practice that in a simulator. So that's just going to unfold as the season unfolds.
Jack, being back in the car in the way that you are, we all wish John was there. I'm sure you do, even with what happened. But I have to ask, I have to wonder, when you lost the ride that you were in with everything that went down and time up, the years you're out of the car, how did you envision coming back? Did you envision coming back to Nitro Funny Car Racing?
I had a shot to get back in a dragster for a couple races last year, and the driver was going to take some time off and thought that the COVID policy still applied there. And I tried not to get my hopes up too much because there's a lot of letdowns in motorsports, and that one didn't work out. And I honestly was kind of at the point that I didn't think there was going to be a pathway back. 1 week after my last race, which was November 2020, I went back into the elevator field. I hadn't done it for 22 years, and they hired me back, and I needed a job. I got a mortgage and I got kids, and after 3 years and 8 months of doing that, I thought I'm going to do this until I retire. And I saw John's accident, but I didn't really think that was going to sideline John. And then when it became apparent that maybe it was going to sideline John, my phone hadn't rung, and I'm not one of those guys that's going to send telegrams out and sell myself. Everybody knows I want to do this. And I was at work one day and the phone rang, and I looked down at him and said, Robert Height. And there was only one reason that call was going to take place. And I thought, wow, like, you want to talk about the range of emotions in a time span this small, I just wanted to scream yes as I was picking the phone up. But even that, after that call, Robert said, look, we're not even close to inking this deal. He said, the sponsors, the family, all these yeses have to be checked off. I just want to know, do you think you're interested? And I said, yes, exclamation point, times 10, underlined twice and highlighted in yellow.
Well, that had to be one heck of a call, because I'm going to tell you right now, you didn't have to sell yourself because people like me were selling you for you. To me, when you make that call to a guy like yourself, it reminds me of kind of like the Browns calling Joe Flacco. They're not looking to look for a seat filler. They're looking for a guy that can win a championship. And you've certainly proven that. And with your skill and with your working with a guy like Frank Holly and doing that as well, that's blatantly obvious that you're the number one candidate because of the training that you have received.
So I appreciate that very much. It's very flattering. There's a lot of other qualified people out there. Look, I wasn't kidding myself about that. It was very humbling that they went with me. There's a lot of sports analogies. So let's say you were a pretty decent batter in the major leagues and you had to take a few years off. I think you'd be kidding yourself if you thought just on your pure talent, you're going to come back out there and hit as well as you hit before. Same thing with driving the car, specifically on reaction times. Drag racing seems very one-dimensional, right? Everything's in a straight line, which really makes the small stuff even more critical because you can't draft. You're not supposed to bump. You're supposed to stay in your own lane. And the tune-up is the tune-up, and somebody else put that in the car. Your job's not to mess it up, which makes the little things even more critical, like reaction time. I'd be fooling myself if I thought I could come back and be right where I left off. The car's laid out a little bit different. I can't say if it's better or worse. It's just different at this point. And I'm still getting acclimated to that. Now that I've got back in the swing of things, now I need to really focus more on practicing reaction time. And it's not going to be one of those things where if I wish it or I just try harder, it's going to be better. It's a progression that just never stops, except for I had 3 years and 9 months where I stopped that. So I need to pick that up and make that part of my regimen. But this is the first time that I've had a regular job And then I go race a Fuel Funny car on the weekend since 2008 when I was teaching at Pomona at the Frank Hawley School. And I never quit that job. Frank and I still work together. It's just that we pulled out of Pomona and everything went back to Gainesville at that point. So it's very unusual for me to be a Monday to Friday guy fixing elevators. And then I take Thursday, Friday off, hop on an airplane and go get in a Fuel Funny car. It's cool. I highly recommend it. It's just different for me.
Jack, you know, you were with Don Schumacher Racing. Don Schumacher. I mean, that's a name in drag racing, right there at the top. John Force Racing now, right there at the top. In the short time you've been there, operationally, what have you noticed that's different?
Well, I was never a Monday through Friday guy at the shop, right? Both of those shops are out in Brownsburg, Indiana, and I live 2,000 miles away from there. So I was never immersed in the day-to-day activities there. But I'll tell you this, it's more what they have in common, and it's the parts, the budget, and most important, it's the people. Everything is there to be able to go out and win races. And Don Schumacher was really big on, you get everything you need to win. Don't ever give me an excuse for poor performance. I always saw subtle differences in the way the organizations were run. Forces was more like a family affair, which also meant it had its highs and lows. And Don ran his just like a business. Very different, but you know, people used to get on Don about their perceived or perception of his attitude about something. I said, let me tell you something. Don's not a touchy-feely guy, but would you rather have a car owner that's going to hug you after every run and tell you it's okay no matter what happened, or the guy that puts you in the seat of something that can go out there and win races? And that's the commonality over here at JFR, and obviously they've proven that. And how about, man, I'm an elevator guy that's had an opportunity to drive Fuel Funny cars for the two biggest organizations in drag racing. It's a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, I can only imagine, man. Good deal.
Now, you talked about reaction times, you know, with Tim Fabrizi and Cunningham and the guys, they provide you with a exceptional race car. Does that give you a little bit, I wouldn't say comfort or a reason to be like nonchalant about it, but it does give you a level of, well, I can take my time and not push or try too hard, because I know at the end of the day, if I'm somewhere in the ballpark, they're giving me a car that has potential to win.
Drag racing is a really interesting sport. The second best run of the day could lose. The second worst run of the day could win. Right? All you have to do is be better than the car in the other lane. I've always said you don't have to be good. You have to be good enough. Here's the issue, though. You got a guy like Austin Prock who can cut a 60 light every time he steps on the throttle. That typically gives him a 200ths advantage over the other car. And you've got a Jimmy Prock tune-up in the car that's hard to outrun. That's going to be a hard combo to beat. Now, you put me in John Force's car, which is, in my opinion, tied for the best car out there right now. Bob Cassidy's got a great hot rod. Hagan and Caps are going to be right in the mix. J.R. Todd's right there. Austin Prock's leading the bunch, and I'm leaving a couple of them out. There's a ton of great running cars right now. So it's not like we've got a 10th in the bank, and I just need to be within 500 to the other driver in reaction times. Since you don't know what your car or their car are going to run, you need to be as quick as you can all the time. And I appreciate that the crew is not getting in my head and telling me what I need to do and expect. But if I don't start doing competitive lights relative to what the other good drivers are cutting out there, they have the right to say something like that. So again, that's going to be the process. I'm not looking for excuses. I don't want to be coddled. I want to be competitive, and I'm going to work on being competitive every time I'm out of the car, so that when I get in there, I give them my best effort. Because I get their best effort every time. I could tell when we went out and tested. I had instant chemistry with all these guys. I've been around for a long time. A lot of these crew members move from team to team. I've had a couple of them in the past, but I always go wish everybody good luck before the race. So it wasn't foreign for me to meet up with these guys for the first time, but the comfort level was there. And I think that'll get stronger throughout the year. And I got to tell you something, there's nothing that makes a crew happier than that little slip of paper with the win light on it, a great ET and a big speed, except for getting to hold that trophy in the winner's circle at the end of the day. And I don't see any reason we can't do that a few times.
Jack, fans love John Force, and one of the reasons they do is John was always great with the fans, had great fan interaction. You, sir, have great fan interaction. I can remember waiting for one of my first interviews ever with you at Southern Nationals, and these two drunk people, you gave them all the time in the world, and they would not leave. That's what you do. I'm curious, what already great fan interactions have you had coming back Night Under the Fire and Brainerd?
I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, the dichotomy of fan reactions could range from, oh my God, we love you so much, we're so happy you're back, to you're no John Force, we want to see John. Everything's been positive, and people miss John. Make no mistake about that. I'm not replacing John. Nobody will ever replace John Force. I get to drive his car for now, and that's honor enough. And I have fostered a lot of good fan relations over the years, to the point where a lot of them become friends. And even when I was an elevator guy, they didn't forget about me. So to have them enthused along with me feels pretty good. Some of the tracks like Vegas, shout out to Gail there, my buddy Sean, people that have actually gone out of their way to continue to encourage me and even try to help me find some sponsorship. And then when I get back to Pomona, that's my home track. I'm a big fan, so I was okay with being on the other side of the rope the last couple of years. I'd only go to the 2 Pomona races, except my son and I flew out when Chris King made his debut in Chicago. I hadn't been following the sport quite as much, and I never got into the sport for the accolades. I got into the sport because I love the competitiveness and the mechanical nature of it. But let's be honest, it feels pretty damn good when you look at the back of your pits and there's 50 people lined up there because they want your autograph. And nobody wanted my autograph when I picked your elevators. It's a little bit foreign to me the last couple of years, but I tell you, a guy could get used to that.
Who was the first media person to come up and, welcome you back?
Dave Densmore was right at the leading edge of that. Obviously, he's been just involved in the deepest of levels with John Force for decades and decades. But the nice thing, DJ, is a lot of these people, they truly are my friends. And to get the congratulations from so many of them and other drivers, and to me, maybe the most rewarding thing is the legends of the sport. Some of the ones that have called me and said, we're so happy to see you there. And these were guys that were my heroes when I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old and just starting to get involved in drag racing. That sure felt good. To see people happy for me to be able to do this, but it's been hectic. You guys, we've been trying to set this up for quite some time. I haven't done any interviews simply because it's not just that I work a regular job. I had to move, renting a house for the first time in 35 years. And the landlord said, hey, I'm selling the house. You got to find another place to live. So throw that into the mix. There just hasn't been any time to do stuff like this. And when you guys came up, and obviously Elon and Bobby are at the top of my list for friends and supporters over the years, and just had the opportunity. I'm only 15 minutes away from John's shop here, so it worked out great.
It did work out great. Good to have you on, Jack. And again, it's good to have you back out there in the sport. And with John Force Racing, with everything that's gone down, what are the expectations? What, at the end of this stint, if you will, is going to be seen as successful for Chevrolet, Peak, JFR, Jack Beckman?
Win 7 races in the championship, right? That would be like the ultimate goal there, right? What's realistic? I don't see why we can't contend for the championship. The way the countdown's set up with the reset, the way that they've allowed drivers to fill in for 8 races, this is unprecedented. This has never happened in the history of NHRA. People keep talking about, it's the COVID policy. COVID policy was 2 or 3 races. This is absolutely brand new for this year. Nobody really knew about it. Sure wasn't a John Force rule. Robert didn't know about it. They wanted to bring me back earlier, and he said, time out. We can claim points at up to 8 races. We're going to debut at Brainerd, and we're going to run for the championship. So that's the goal. Peak has been over the top supportive, and I think that's wonderful. Think about this for a second. You're a sponsor, and you can argue who's the greatest driver of all time. You could argue who's the greatest personality of all time. You can't argue who's the winningest funny car driver of all time, but he's arguably got all those qualities wrapped into one. And John Force is a one-man marketing machine. Nobody can compare with him. And he's on the sideline. So who are we going to stick in there that can at least represent the sponsors? And that's fantastic. And I got to tell you, for 14 years, I proudly raced for Dodge. And now that I'm in a Chevy, my dad's talking to me again. So we've bended the fences. He raised me a Chevy guy, and he was a little upset there. I still have my very first car. It's a 68 SS396 El Camino. I took my driving test on my 16th birthday in that car. I restored it. My son Jason took his driving test at 16 in that car. I've been a Chevy guy since before I could drive. It feels pretty good. So to get to represent everybody that's on the side of John's car, and also represent John and John's family and everybody at JFR, it's a big responsibility, but it's one that anybody that wants to do this for a living would gladly take. I'm the lucky guy that got the offer.
So I have an interesting question. I think something that fans think about. You see a lot of guys like Gary Scelzi and others that just, when they're done, we haven't seen them. And you talked about, when you got away from the sport, that you really didn't follow it. Why do drivers that leave the sport, why do they not follow it as much as they used to? And why does that sometimes they just choose not to come back?
Well, because I think it's like seeing your former best friend hanging out with other people. And it sucks, and it hurts, and it's depressing. The only guy that retired his way, I'll give special consideration to Kenny Bernstein. Kenny did a final tour, but then his son Brandon got injured. Kenny had to come back and drive. Then Kenny came back and drove a funny car after that. So he retired twice. Don Prudhomme said, "This is my last race, and I'm going to transition to a car owner." And then he did that as a car owner successfully for years. And he said, "This is my last race." The rest of us run out of sponsors. There's very few people that say, "I want to run to this date," and are able to run to this date. For the rest of us, we've got to go back and earn a living doing something else because the sponsorship dried up. Gary Scelzi, I don't know if Gary would have run another year, but I think that guy did everything there was to do in drag racing, didn't have anything left to prove, and it was time for him to go back and support his kids in their racing. I was not done, but I had to tell myself that might be all you get. You got more than you deserved. You got way more than you ever asked for or dreamed of. And so just be an adult about it and handle it. And now I got a little bit of a second chance here.
Mr. Elevator Repairman, I have a question. And I think of you every time since finding out that's what you did and you were going back to do. Get in the elevator at a motel, and if it's tall enough, it clicks off 1, 2, 3, and then in between it goes to EZ on the digital readout. What does that mean?
Are you jumping up and down in the elevator with beer in your hand and 5 of your buddies in there, Lee? Because I can't give you advice on that.
No.
Take the stairs. DJ, take the stairs if Lee's in the elevator.
Definitely.
Yeah. Knock it off, dude. Not good. You know what's ironic? Force's shop here has a Schindler elevator. And my buddy does the service here. I was trying to get it on my route, but it's a little out of my area here.
That's pretty awesome. So it must be dangerous then if you do EZ.
It sounds like it's only dangerous if you're next to Lee in the elevator and he's karaokeing with his adult beverage.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking this step.
Yeah. That I got to see the camera footage of that now. Well, Jack, look, it's great to have you back out there, and hopefully this even turns for the future for you for the better, and we continue to have you in NHRA drag racing in the future. Give you the floor to the fans, to competitors, to NHRA, to JFR. Say whatever you want, man.
So you asked me earlier about the fans' reaction, and obviously the number one question is, how's John? When is he coming back? And so let me frame this. With the injury that John got, there's not a lot of predictability in how long rehab takes, how much therapy it's going to be, what the final result looks like. And the goal would be to get John back to the races. If that can happen by the end of the year, I think that would be fantastic. But really only John and his family and the doctors are going to know the answer to that. I don't know. You guys can ask me all you want, but that's as good as an answer I can give. And I'm not being coy and I'm not being protective. We just don't know at this point. I would love to. I was kind of hoping to see John today because he's been in and out of the shop a little bit, but he's got to work at his pace and he's got to focus on getting himself better so that he can get back out to the racetrack. Because John Force on the starting line and John Force in the pits is going to be just as valuable to drag racing as John Force was in the race car. And whether Robert takes this car back over or whether there's an opportunity for next year, I got 7 more shots at doing something pretty special in drag racing.
That you do. Fast Jack Beckman, thank you for your time. We look forward to seeing you go fast.
Appreciate it, gentlemen. Can't wait.
Haven't talked to him
Folks,
in a while.
Jack Beckman. That was fun. That was good. Good to hear from Jack. And yes, we all want to see John back. But as we have said many times, definitely think they put in the guy for this situation.
Definitely. I 100% agree. And that's not throwing any shade at a Tommy Johnson Jr. or anything like that.
No.
You know, it's just the fact that that's just the fact of the matter. If it was me and I had to make a call, that would be my call too. And like I said, he didn't need the grandstand for himself. I think we were doing a pretty good job of that.
For sure. Well, let's transition, Duchesne, into some U.S. Nationals talk, some Funny Car Chaos Finals talk, some World Series of Drag Racing talk.
Yeah.
My mind is definitely geared right now towards Funny Car Chaos Finals this year. Actually, I'm not even going to be able to attend the U.S. Nationals at all. I usually am able to go down to MoCan. I travel back Sunday. I'm there Monday, cover the U.S. Nationals in whatever way and capacity that I can. But with another engagement that I've got in drag racing, I need to travel from Missouri to Tennessee and just skip the U.S. Nationals all together with getting content out. So I'm very much Funny Car Chaos Championship Finals, MoCan Dragway focused, but the U.S. Nationals is the biggest, the richest, the granddaddy of them all drag race in the drag racing world. What's the top storylines?
Man, I think right out of the gate, I think for every class, you really don't have any huckleberries, right? I mean, there's really not a 16 car that you're going to say, oh, that's the guy I want to be in there. And that the guy who's number one is going to say, yep, that's my huckleberry, easy first round. The competition has been exceptional. Even the small guys have gone out and given guys trouble, have gotten wins. So there's no give-me's here. I just think overall the top story from the beginning is just the level of competition, the amount of cars that will be there. I think you got 20 top fuelers, 19 funny cars, 22 pro stockers, and we actually have a bump spot for pro stock motorcycle. I just think the level of competition is just going to be so great. And then you add on top of that it being the U.S. Nationals, and then you add on top of that the level of, I don't know, stress and adrenaline and focus and all of it right before a playoff. We're going to get to see playoff action before playoff action, just alone on the fact that from 1 to 16, you got to be ready or you're going out of here first round. So that's what I'm loving.
There is drama of who is going to make it or not. I think most notably, it's Brittany Force.
Yes.
John Force Racing. Right now, if I remember correctly, she is in, but it is barely
10.
She has got to have a good U.S. National.
Yes, she is 583 in 10th. Josh Hart, a car that's starting to find its way, is 528 behind her in 11th. There's no way they can slip up this weekend. They have to find that level of consistency. I think it's just a matter of, I think what happens a lot of times with Brittany is she gets inside of her own head, and that causes you understand what you have to do at the end of the day, and sometimes you just overthink it a little bit. I think if she can have some clarity, maybe try something new this weekend, not thinking about the fact that they're on the fringes here, and just go out and execute. Because I mean, when she is in the zone, she's one of the best. And it's right there with a lot of the other young ladies and guys. So it's just a matter of her just staying focused as a driver. Don't let the moment get too big. And I think, Grubnick has found something here that they can build off of. They've shown that they can be that car of old, and they just have to go out there and collectively execute. And she just doesn't need to worry about what's going on the mechanical side. Just focus on the race car and focus on yourself. Go and do the things that you've been doing that have helped you execute on the starting line, and they'll find themselves in that 10th spot or better at the end of the day.
And honestly, again, they just have to hold the 10th.
Yep.
I mean, they can move up, but they just need to hold on to 10th. And it is critical for them, whereas for someone like Josh Hart, he's in. He just got to do every qualifying round and, make the show. He's good to go.
Yep.
So, well, now, I say that, hang on. He didn't qualify for Norwalk.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he DNQ'd, didn't he?
Yes.
I think so.
Now, see, here's another issue. Here's another issue. We just created a okay, wait, hold on, and now we got to go back to the rule book, and the charity handout side of it creates this confusion. We shouldn't even have this conversation.
Yep. But I thought, I don't know if do you have to qualify, or do you just have to simply attend every race? That's my question.
It will be that you attempt. It's attempting every qualifier.
Yeah, John says as long as he attempted to make the show. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And yep, Drag Race Mayhem says the same thing. Attempt to qualify. So the fact that he attempted to qualify, he still has an opportunity in that 11th or 12th spot where he finishes there to
talk about a provisional.
Yeah, that's putting it lightly.
Talk about a provisional. And again, we're not the only ones that, again, I don't agree with the charity part of it. It is part of the rules. It's there. Great. Cool. So, again, for Brittany, though, because of missing a race after the incident with John, understandable for sure, she's got to point in on the matter.
Yeah, definitely got to do that. I see other cars. We can talk about Greg and Erica. Not so great in the last 4 races of this regular season here. Greg is 2-4 in his last 4, 3 first-round exits. Erica's 3-4 in her last 4 and 1 first-round exit. It's going to be time to, we know both cars are capable of running at the top and being there in the final round to run each other. Now, granted, Dallas is going to have something to say about that. Aaron Stanfield's going to have something to say about that. Jag, Troy probably going to have something to say about that too. But they got to find a way to get off the starting line, because lately it's been the fact that they just haven't got off the starting line. They've gotten beat in reaction time. And we know how close these cars are. So you got to be right in the ballpark, or it's on the trailer for you.
I think, especially with Erica, not concerned, especially when you look back to the way in which they won the championship last year.
True.
I just no.
True.
I think they have that capability to turn the jet on when they need to.
Yeah, I mean, I can
And
see
I don't
that.
mean
I mean,
that.
she has
I don't
done
mean turn the jet on as I didn't. That was not maybe the right thing to say concerning pro stock.
that. Yeah,
I don't mean
not that there's nice
What?
nitrous in the chassis or anything.
right.
Not that jet.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she's proven that. I mean, she's not the six-pack champ for nothing. She's been in a lot of pressure situations, starting out extremely slow and really not looking good at all in the first half of a season, and they come out and they find a way in the playoffs to knock them dead. So, I don't think there's I don't think there's too much level of concern. It is there, and they have not been good as of late, but something about bright lights and big moments, and when those bright lights and big moments are on, she has never failed.
And look, I know we are looking a little bit beyond the U.S. Nationals, but since we're talking countdown, since we're talking championship runs, the only number one seed last year that went on to win the championship, if I remember correctly, it is Gage Herrera. That's it.
That's it. That is it. I look at Funny Car, and I mean, it's kind of hard to think, or kind of hard to not think that Austin can just run the table on this thing. And let's be real. I mean, Bob Tasca has had one of the better cars. I mean, his numbers show it. He's 22-10 round win-loss record. In his last four, this guy's been 10-2 round win-loss record with 2 wins. So he's hotter than a firecracker coming into the U.S. Nationals. But, I mean, you can't deny that those 2 John Force Racing cars have been 2 of the best. And the fact that those 2 cars have been identical, and that car that Jack is driving is not the same one that John was driving before, and it's still identical to Austin Proc's car, you don't see that in Funny Car. You don't see 2 cars running that close. That's like pro stock stuff. And, I think it's going to be a dogfight for everyone else, but I like the ability of possibly a Matt Hagan or J.R. Todd also being in that mix. Matt Hagan has quietly, gone rounds. I mean, look at, what was it, last race at Brainerd? That man had no business being where he was. No business. They qualified horribly. They looked bad. And they came out on race day and just did what they had to do to get round wins. So it's hard to count those guys out. And, last, and not to leave him out, but also Ron Capps. I mean, him and Guido, you can't count them out either. They haven't looked crisp, but we know that car is very much capable of throwing down with the rest of them. And I think it's going to be a fun, Funny Car race as we, not just in the U.S. Nationals, but throughout the playoffs as well.
It is going to be very challenging to make the fields for the U.S. Nationals. You look at the list in Top Fuel.
Yeah.
Very well, we could see a big name or 2 not make that field. We could see those that have gone the entire year in competition not make the field. We can see it in Funny Car.
Yeah.
Possibly in Pro Stock as well. But right now, the fuel class is so challenging. It's going to be very hard to make the field.
Yeah.
Very hard.
Another story, though, and I kind of slipped my mind here, but so there's a whole new rules change that Matt Smith had talked about on this show, and there's a whole new rule package now. Weights have changed for certain people, and this is the first race that it actually debuts as well. That's a huge storyline, because how much of a change is that going to make it for a Gage Herrera. You know, even Matt, John Hall's been running really well. You know, does it change Richard Gadsden any? Um, John Avaristo, does it change her any? We don't know what to expect coming in here. It's going to give guys like Steve Johnson and the like who run the same thing that he does opportunity to, I guess, be competitive. That's what Matt seems to think by this particular rule. I know some people weren't, that are a part of Pro Stock Motorcycle weren't okay with this. I'm not okay with it being debuted in the middle of a season like this, right before a countdown. I think it's an absolute ridiculous idea and should have started at the beginning of next season. But here we are. They're going to be doing a lot of, they have 5 passes, but how many of these passes are basically test runs and basically, trying to figure out what it is that this bike can and cannot do, because everybody can't test.
Absolutely, and there already has been testing. I'm sure we have not seen photos and images of teams testing outside of Steve Johnson, but he's already tested. He was down in Steele, Alabama International Dragway, their Night Under Fire program, and was getting some laps in. So it is something they're already attempting to figure out. And for the bikes, very well could be a situation where qualifying is a testing session, and they're like, hey, at least we're getting 5 of these things and not just 4 and not just 3. And that might have also played into why they even use the U.S. Nationals as the race to implement this rule.
Yeah.
Almost as give me race, extra qualifier, and oh, by the way, you're in, it resets anyway.
Yep.
That seems logical to me, but it also saddens me that that's the thinking.
Yeah, I don't like to see people being punished for working hard, but I also get where Matt is coming from, and honestly, the numbers and the people showing up to the race, I think travel had something to do with it as well. But the lack of bikes isn't good either. So I understand both sides of it. It's a thin line and a fine line that the NHRA tech department has to, kind of toe. And, although I don't like it, I understand the point by it, because we still have 8 races, including the U.S. Nationals, 9 races to go. And you don't want to see 8 to 12 bikes out there. You know what I mean? You want to have at least a full field of bikes going forward. So we'll see how it all pans out. Will Gage Herrera still be, the front runner and the one to catch? Or will we see others be able to, take that step forward? I felt like Matt was starting to get and find his way. John Hall, part of his team, another bike that was doing very well, probably the second or third best bike, because I don't want to take away from Gianna either, because her bike was running exceptionally well too, and really probably the second best bike, and in some cases the best bike in that camp with the speeds that she was running. So there's going to be a lot of good bikes. There's a lot of good bikes in this class, and it's going to be a real fun time at the U.S. Nationals to watch this all play out in front of us.
It certainly will be. So, again, we could spend hours going through all the storylines of the U.S. Nationals. Pro Mod is going to have a great representation, and Pro Mod racing there is always eventful. And there's going to be Factory X. You've got Factory Stock Showdown. You have, there's no lie to saying it is the biggest. And I know when we say biggest, oftentimes people think, oh, in value and importance. And I think it is. But no, the U.S. Nationals is the biggest drag race, without a doubt. There's no other race that has this many cars come to it to race. I'm not even sure in motorsports there's a bigger coming together of competitors, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, Memphis Lonnie says 61 super comps, 61 comp cars, 61.
Right.
Insane. I'm looking
It's
forward to it, though.
It is a wild amount. It is a wild amount. I mean, it's probably going to be under or just a bit over 900 cars.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, folks, if you've never attended the U.S. Nationals, you must do it. But I will say this weekend, there are other drag races happening. This is my recommendation on how to do the weekend. Skip a lot of the qualifying. Friday, Saturday, do Funny Car Chaos at Mocan Dragway. Experience that great fan base there at Mocan and a championship decided. And we have, like 5 drivers with a shot to win this championship across A, B, C, and D fields of competition.
That's exciting.
Wow, you have some people returning and showing up that haven't competed throughout the year that can play spoilers throughout all those fields. So the drama is going to be very intense for Kirk Williams, Wayne Hoffman, Jade Cook, Chris Schneider, Shane Lawson, these competitors in Funny Car Chaos. There's a potential we might have our only second ever multi-time champion in Kirk Williams. If he is able to win the championship, that would give him 2. The only other one is Ken Singleton with like 20. No, more like 4 championships. But Ken dominated early on when the championship started, when Funny Car Chaos started becoming a championship tour. So, look, go down there, get that in. See a championship battle end and no playoffs, actually pointing, and no reset. Then Sunday, Monday, go back to the U.S. Nationals, up the road 8 hours, and enjoy the biggest drag race in the world. And it can be done. But I've done it.
And
like 3 years.
Before you even do all of that, go Thursday to the Cruz Pedregon car show. There's going to be like 50 athletes and drivers. We're talking 250 show cars, and they're doing an auction for the Riley Children's Foundation. So support that. It's going to be an awesome time. Cruz does it right, and it's going to be a big one this year. This one's going to be one you don't want to miss. There's a lot of awesome athletes and a lot of cool drivers that are going to be there at this open house that they're having here at Cruz Pedregon Racing.
It is a great event. Been there last 2-3 years. Have even been live from there, and it is a great event. Keeps growing. It's the event to catch to kind of kick off the U.S. Nationals.
Yeah.
If you didn't go Wednesday at all, get there Thursday evening. But again, because I've done it, go to Cruz on Thursday, travel down to Mocan, get in Funny Car Chaos, championship on the line and decided, travel back up and get Sunday and Monday U.S. Nationals in. It can be done. You'll be tired. You'll be wore out. You'll see so much drag racing you don't even know if you want to see it again. No, you're going to love it every moment of it.
Yeah.
Because we're here talking about drag racing. You love drag racing. I love drag racing. They all love drag racing. So, yes, this weekend, Funny Car Chaos, it's on the line. But if you're not able to be there at Mocan, hey, tune in. It's going to be live on the Funny Car Chaos YouTube channel. So you can see it streamed.
Nice. Looking forward to that.
Well, man, the last thing I really want to break down was able to attend the World Series of Drag Racing. It is honestly right up there historically with the U.S. Nationals. They just had their 70th World Series of Drag Racing. Now, it's had some continuity issues because of some unwise moves of moving it from Cordova and trying to put it down in Memphis and IHRA when it was under all that different ownership. But the team at Cordova now is doing such a fabulous job of moving that historic venue to the future. And the World Series was slammed. Posted some photos. It was a great turnout. Again, for anyone out there that wants to say drag racing is dead, no, it's not. Drag racing is alive and well. Is every drag race a sellout? Well, no. I think that the crowd that was at Cordova, though they didn't have a sellout in the sense because it wasn't reserved tickets, man, their campgrounds were packed, the stands were packed, the parking along the fence was packed. You had railbirds all the way down. It was a show. It was a time. So glad to be able to finally mark that big one off the list, and looking forward to marking a few others off the list. I want to get the Night Fire Nationals marked off up there in Boise, Idaho, and Snowbirds marked off. So looking forward to marking those off the list, but can say I've been to arguably two of the most historic drag races that there are. That is the U.S. Nationals, and that is the World Series of Drag Racing at Cordova Dragway.
That's pretty awesome. That's some cool stuff.
It's got to be on your list. You got to be on the list.
Yeah.
And a shout out to the Hool brothers. They are attempting something kind of new, kind of fresh for those that compete in Top Alcohol Funny Car in particular. I think the intention is to eventually get to a point where it's for all alcohol competitors, dragster and funny car, but you kind of start with what you know and you're comfortable with. And they've been racing for a funny car for many, many years.
Yeah.
But the Professional Alcohol Drag Racing Series, in a sense, made a debut at the World Series of Drag Racing, and it is no secret that alcohol competitors are a bit disgruntled and displeased with their situation, and the Hools are trying to do something about it. Still do quarter-mile racing and put top alcohol funny car racers on big stages.
Now, are they trying to have this be a traveling type tour?
They are. So imagine you've got a name like the World Series of Drag Racing. Well, they want to partner with a show like that. They want to partner with a Night Under Fire type of program. They want to partner with the tracks. If they're having a big event and you want Top Alcohol Funny Car, you can book in this part of your show and it's actual competition. So in 2025, their intentions are that you will see the PADR have more races and Top Alcohol Funny Car racing to the quarter mile be on display at more tracks.
It's the perfect opportunity for a track like South Georgia Motorsports Park.
Actually, it is. South Georgia Motorsports Park really needs to call the Hools, and that would be a great fit, because I think also the Hools, they're willing. The idea is not just, oh, well, it's got to be NHRA. Oh, it's got to be this. Oh, it's got to be that. No, you might have an event that isn't really geared toward funny cars at all, but they can bring in Top Alcohol Funny Car. Look, I love Top Alcohol Funny Car. I think it's some of the best racing in drag racing, period. But it's kind of got locked into NHRA. And if you're not an NHRA follower or a fan,
yeah, you don't know.
You're probably not seeing it.
Yep.
And then most of the fans are so interested in Nitro, and I understand that's the show. We all get it. They're not seeing those runs because they've gone out of the grandstands.
Yeah, I agree.
So this is a great way for tracks to bring in great racing at 250, 260, 270 miles per hour in the quarter mile with the 7,000 plus RPMs on the starting line, dumping the clutch and sending it, with the unpredictable nature of funny cars at their track.
Yeah,
Professional
I think
alcohol drag racing series.
Yeah, I think that'd be great for South Georgia Motorsports Park too. It's an opportunity for them too to get their feet wet with these type of cars. I know they want nitro and all of that, but I think this would be a great way for them to get. I know they do a small regional, but they don't have alcohol cars here, so that would be awesome for them to have that here. I think it'd be a great draw. But when they do have big events, they put on a show out there. So That would be awesome and a good way to get their feet wet. Adding a class like that might draw a real big crowd of people, see how they can manage that before they ever start talking about possibly bringing in any type of nitro.
Right. No, I think that could be a part of the formula for sure. And I even think that's something that the Hools are kind of thinking about. Let's say you already have an established name and a big event, and you want Top Alcohol Funny Car to be a part of it. The PADR can be a part of it.
Yeah, I like that.
I think it's a good. It is a good attempt.
Yep.
At least now. They've had their first race. They've crowned their first winner. You can see that action actually on the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel. They've got the ball rolling.
Yeah, and that's important. I think a lot of people will flock to it. A lot of the alcohol racers are not very happy about the way they're being treated right now, and it's been like that for a while. I think they'll have plenty of support to do that and to be showcased. I feel the same way. I think they need to be showcased a lot better than that, especially when you're talking about champions and this being the stepping stone to nitro. If you want it to be, then they need to be treated as such. It's just a shame that we have some champions in alcohol and you wouldn't really know that they were champions at all if you were someone from the outside and didn't really pay attention or didn't know. And that's kind of sad.
It certainly is. I agree. Well, Duchesne, look, I'm at Buffalo Wild Wings, and I haven't had wings yet, okay?
It's time to eat.
Yeah, it's time to get some wings. So everybody else out there, thank you for your time. Thank you, Chris King. Thank you, Jack Beckman. And good to have each and every one of you on the show tonight. Hit the like button, hit the share button. We'll do it again. I assume Tuesday. Ooh, that's going to be interesting. I gotta check on that. My schedule's weird next week.
My schedule is too. I'm not doing a show next week.
Oh, maybe we've already decided that there might not be an Indy right away recap. I don't know.
Yeah.
Folks, we'll let you know. Till then, God bless. Keep the pedal to the metal. By the way, don't forget to fill out your bracket for the U.S. Nationals.
Exactly.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.